swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
This is the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network, and it is episode 66 of season number 4 as the Cubs search for free agent starting pitching officially underway. Well, don't forget to listen, download, subscribe. Most importantly, review the podcast, Crawley, and follow on all the socials. I'm at Moehle on X.
And you can follow me at Crawley's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. You can email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. Dustin, so much has been going on. I'm so excited. I got the Chicago Sports Spectacular coming up this weekend.
Is that this weekend? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Tell people. Now, we did an interview with one of the guys from that event, but if people didn't catch it, give us a quick synopsis and tell us some of the Cubs that you're looking forward to having their pen meet paper.
Yes, autograph show this weekend at the Donald D. Stevens Convention Center at Rosemont. They are having a 40th anniversary celebration of the Chicago Bears. I want to say about 15 to 20 members of that 1985 Super Bowl winning team. They have the entire 2005 Fighting Illini team coming back, all sorts of Hollywood celebs. And then on Sunday, it's a who's who of Cubs players coming in. You're going to have Anthony Rizzo, David Ross, Jason Hayward, Kerry Wood, Lee Smith, Rick Monday, Ray Burris. I'm trying to go down the list. There are so many that Leon Durham's going to be there. So I am definitely, Sunday's the big day for me, but Friday I'll be checking out all the different things that they're going to have in the convention center. And I'm going to be getting some things authenticated for the Cubs Cave here. But if you've never been and you love sports and memorabilia and collectibles, there's no better place to be. It's so Chicago centric. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been to some in the past. Always a good time. Pretty interesting. David Ross kind of making a public appearance, if you will, in Chicago.
Yeah, and if you are a collector and you need him on a 2016 item, he ain't coming to CubsCon. I'll guarantee you that. So you want to be at the Chicago Sports Spectacular this weekend. That's what I'll just warn you.
Crawley making guarantees that
making
have
guarantees.
Me laughing. All right, somebody else who's got a guarantee coming to them is Shota Imanaga, $22 million and change, as he accepts that qualifying offer that the Cubs gave him.
I figure that is what is going to happen. So, when you kind of look at this, there was a bunch of guys that were offered. This happens every year, Dustin, but I think this is something we have to look at closely because I think it kind of gives you a view into the marketplace. The guys that rejected the qualifying offers are guys that are expecting big deals. And Dustin, I don't think there's any surprise here. Kyle Tucker did not accept it. Kyle Schwarber, Bo Bichette, Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, Ranger Suarez, Michael King, Zach Gallen, Diaz, for the closer from New York. So a whole bunch of guys did not. But the guy that did, Patrick Mooney, was the one that dropped it, that Shota Imanaga is accepting it. And so if you look at it, it was a little surprising, a little not surprising, a little bit of both there. You take a look, the numbers, the Cubs didn't, had an opt-out for that deal. And if you take a look at the way it was from 2024 to 2025, you see the ERA went up. The innings went down because of injury. The home runs per 9 was a really big problem at the end. That went up. The four-seam velocity went down. And you may only say, it's only down a mile an hour. You're worried about trends, right? And
everything seems to be going the wrong way, whether it's up or down.
Right.
Nothing seems to be going exactly the way you would like it to go.
Right. He allowed 6 earned runs, 3 homers in 6 2/3 postseason innings in 2025. And as you like to point out, he was not given the ball in a game, the last deciding game there. So it kind of tells you, but again.
All right. What I want to, let's go back to that for a second, right? Because there could be a couple of different things there. And as we keep removing ourselves from that game, from that series, I do believe, I'll speak for myself first, Crawley. I don't want to speak for you, but I do want your opinion on this, obviously. Do you start trying to ask yourselves questions. Like maybe the Cubs weren't telling us that he was hurt, or do you think they didn't trust him anymore, or a combination of things? Where do you think, as you take yourself away from it a little bit, where the pain is not exactly what it was a couple weeks ago, where do you think you're in your head? What do you think it was? Was he hurt? Was it a lack of confidence? And I think a little bit of both might be kind of a cop out, or was it a little bit of both?
Or also tipping pitches, some combination. I think that, again, we've talked about this before. Pretty much everybody is no longer under contract when we're talking about veterans, not talking about people that are not free agent eligible.
Mm-hmm.
They all are done after 2026, every single one of them. And you can put Shota in that boat as well. And so if you look at the totality of Shota's time here, it really was this, for whatever reason, September, everything just kind of went really south really fast. And
Real
it was
fast. Yep. Mm-hmm.
He was just not playable. You could not trust him in a postseason, as far as a critical game. But when I look at it, Dustin, take a look at the Cubs innings, or the Cubs season, who the projected starters were. You lost Justin Steele after the first month, gone.
Sure did.
You lost Jamison Tyone twice for injury for about a month each time. You lost Shota for a month. There was nobody. You lost Cade Horton at the end. The only one that stuck through it was Matthew Boyd. He was your only guy.
He was the only guy that got to 30, right? He's the only guy that got to 30 starts, right?
Right. So if you're looking at that, you understand, again, is $22 million a lot? Yeah. And it is, but it shouldn't be anything. If it precludes you from making the moves you want to make, that's a different problem.
That's another problem, right? So, it's a lot of money to you and me and everybody listening, and combine all our salaries, and we're still probably not even a 15th of the way there, right? But in today's market, and I hate it, it is what it is. Okay, this is the going rate for starting pitching in baseball. But assuming health, and there is a lot of speculation about exactly when Justin Steele would be available. Now, we know that he won't be available opening day, but will he be available by May? Is it going to be in June? And you got a great graphic up here, and he's included in this. And on our last episode, I believe, Crowley, the Colin Ray option was picked up, right? A mutually agreed upon, something along those lines, or they worked it out, something. Either way, Colin Ray is back next year, right? Colin Ray is back next season. And last year, maybe it's because of injury, maybe because of production, maybe a combination of both. Colin Ray was part of this mix that we're looking at, and right now he's not in this mix. So I guess for the first month, we know we could take Justin Steele out. But come May 1st, okay, Justin Steele's back, we could assume. Okay, and you'd like to do some shopping in the expensive aisle. We talked about that the last episode. But I'm a little concerned that this Shota $22 million is going to, make them pause. I hope I'm wrong, but I just feel that way for some reason.
It really shouldn't. They have the money. And so if you look at the potential starters, you got Boyd, Steele, Imanaga, Horton, and Tyone. Again, how Justin Steele comes back from the injury, we don't know. Matthew Boyd and Cade Horton threw more innings than either of them have in a long time. When you're talking about Cade Horton, more innings than ever. Matthew Boyd, more innings since 2019.
And obviously, to your point, like Boyd, more innings than ever, and Cade Horton coming back from an injury. Now, I think we were led to believe that if the Cubs had made it another round, that he would have been available, not like for 9 innings, but he would have been able to throw at an effective high level.
Yeah. And so as we're kind of looking at this, Dustin, Shota was, and again, this is what makes me nervous about the market. And I'm wondering if we're going to have a very cold stove this offseason, because a record 4 players accepted the qualifying offer. That most of the time, maybe 1 per season.
What did they say? Did I hear 14% all time?
Correct.
14% all time. And this isn't chump. This is not chump change. A lot of money. I mean, it obviously goes up each year because life happens, but this is a lot of do-re-mi.
I got a feeling that the agents are telling the players in their ear it might be wise to take this, because you got Shota took it, Brandon Woodruff from the North, and he's always had injury problems. Trent Grisham in the Yankees, and former Cub and Yankee Gleyber Torres. So 4 guys that took it, but as we kind of look at this, Jed comes when, last week was out in Vegas for the GM meeting, and, one thing was on his mind, and that's pitching, right? And
pitching. Acted like they've got the hitting thing all under control.
Well, let's hear what he had to say about pitching.
I think we're going to have an active offseason. Take that for what it's worth. I think that we'll, I think the largest focus, will be on pitching. I think that's obvious. As I look at our depth chart, that, I think we're in pretty good position on the position player side. On the pitching side, we're thinner. And so I think that's going to be our focus. And I expect to explore trades. I expect to explore free agency, both, at the top of the market, but then also looking at for minor league free agency. I thought last year in a lot of ways, we gave Boyd a multi-year deal, and then we got a lot of value out of Brad Keller, who was a minor league free agent. And I think all of those Drew Pomeranz, we had made a tiny trade for. I think all of those transactions matter, and so I expect to be really active in doing that. I think on the pitching side more than the hitting side.
Yeah. So Dustin,
pitching side more than the hitting side. I just want to echo that again. I just want to make sure everybody heard that.
Yeah. When he talks about it, though, it's interesting, right? Because as you're kind of looking at this right here, there are, he was able to piece together some things. Drew Pomeranz, that was a miracle. Brad Keller, unbelievable. That, again, non-roster invitee to camp. Caleb Thielbar, some of the moves that they made did benefit the Cubs. And Matthew Boyd, that was a high risk, right? High reward move. And he became an all-star and was one of their best pitchers all season. The question is no doubt they're going to be active, but that's the thing. Jed, especially in the relief market, right? I don't see him looking at Edwin Diaz, right?
No.
He doesn't like spending the big money on the closers. He thinks he can find value. And again, most years he does. I just would avoid talking with the Houston Astros for bullpen help. But when I look at this right here, it's, are you going to spend to get that front end rotation? Because I don't know if that's going to be possible through trade. We're going to explore that on different episodes of this episode. We're going to look at free agent signings. But again, when he says they're going to be active and you go around the diamond, first base, second base, shortstop, and catcher, I think are solid. Left and center, we know who's going to be there. Would they maybe want to upgrade from Matt Shaw? Maybe. I don't know. You keep hearing those rumors about Alex Bregman. And then obviously right field, Kyle Tucker is long gone. Bye-bye. So how do they want to make up for that run production? Is that internal or is that external? But in general, I feel like having a front end starter and really building a strong bullpen is the way this team is going to be spending its dollars.
I don't disagree with you. That makes all the sense in the world based on kind of reading the tea leaves, if you will, and kind of seeing how teams were successful in the postseason with this new way to attack another team's offense with outgetters, right? Outgetters as opposed to, guys with specific roles as a starter, as a setup guy, as a guy who comes in a clean inning, runners on base, all that kind of jazz.
Yeah. And so, what I did is I took a look at Jim Bowden's from the Athletic top 50 free agents, and I looked for the best combination of starting pitchers and ones that were mentioned that Cubs have interest in. I just want to kind of feel you out here. Now, first on the list, right? The first guy that we're going to find, and Kyle Tucker's number 1, Schwarber 2, Alonso 3, but at number 4 in the top 50 list is a guy from the Houston Astros. I said, watch out for the Astros. Framber Valdez. Okay. He's a lefty, Dustin.
Yep. He
is a lefty starter from Houston. And on opening day, 2026, he will be 32 years old. 2025, he was 13-11, 3.66 ERA, 192 innings pitch, 1.245 whip with 187 Ks. He's represented by Octagon, who also represents William and Wilson Contreras and Shota Imanaga. If you do sign him, you get dinged on that qualifying offer, but they're getting one from Kyle Tucker. So you know what? It's a wash, right? Now, when you look at Framber Valdez, since he is just a workhorse, right? Since 2020, only 4 pitchers have thrown more innings. And Valdez 3.23 ERA is lower than all of them except for Zach Wheeler. His 73 wins since the start of 2020 are tied with Max Fried for the majors. But Dustin, he is going to be 32. And I don't know if you heard about that little kerfuffle that happened during the season with his catcher.
I remember
Catcher
that.
wanted him to get off the rubber. He didn't. He gave up a grand slam. And then there was a mix-up on pitches. He threw a fastball right at his catcher's chest.
That mix-up is in air quotes, right? Mix-up. Yep.
Air quote mix-up. And so he was in Vegas, Framber Valdez. And part of the reason people think he's there is like, look, that whatever happened there, I don't want that to be a ding, like as I'm a bad teammate, right? And so we'll see what happens. But the contract prediction for that, Dustin, 6 years, $190 million. Do you think the Cubs... Now, Valdez is an extreme ground ball pitcher, okay? He throws a lot of sliders, a lot of sinkers. He throws a lot of sinkers, and he has a huge ground ball rate. So when you think about the guys
that's what you want. That's what you want
on the infield, but do you want another lefty as well?
Well, I wonder now, that was a thing at one point, right? Like too many. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. I'm not worried about that part. Go get outs. If teams are going to, just go get outs. I don't worry about that. How about you? Are you worried about that?
No, I'm a little bit more worried about the age, and that's close to $200 million. And I know that's where Tom Ricketts starts to get really queasy.
Right.
Talk over 200 million, especially being.
But there's been some stuff out there that maybe some of these big market teams, maybe outside of the Dodgers, are almost going to kind of get together and have kind of like a wink, wink, nod, nod. We're not doing a whole lot kind of thing going, which isn't necessarily on the up and up. But I'm sure you've seen what I've seen.
Yeah, and we're on the anniversary of Andre Dawson. His MVP was a couple days ago, and you think about the collusion in '87. It's going to be interesting, but Framber Valdez would definitely be someone that's, again, in the top tier of pitchers that are going to be available. Number 2, Dustin, from formerly of the Philadelphia Phillies, we got Ranger Suarez, and you almost want to get him just because that name kind of seems pretty cool. But when you talk about Ranger Suarez, he is number 7 on the list. And for him, he was with the Phillies again. Opening day on 2026, he's going to be 30, so 2 years younger. 12-8, 3.20 ERA, 157 innings pitch, 1.220 WHIP, 151 Ks. He is represented by Scott Boras. He of the many, many players, Juan Soto, Garrett Cole, Corbin Burns, Alex Bregman, go down the list. And he even mentioned Blake Snell. He was mentioning when he was out in Vegas, when he was talking about different players, but he's another lefty. He's another qualifying offer, right? He's got a 3.30 ERA and FIP, fielder independent pitching. Again, another lefty, Dustin, but the thing that worries me about Ranger Suarez is he's a really good player, but I wonder if they want somebody with a little bit more velocity, right? So he's another guy that's going to be getting, he doesn't get as many ground balls as Framber Valdez. He uses thinker, changeup, cutter. His four-seamer is at about 93. His sinker's at 93. So he doesn't really get it up there, but he's got a lot of different pitches, a changeup, a cutter, curve, four-seamer, and slider. Now, again, he's a Boras client, but the contract prediction based on the comps, 6 years, $164 million. So you're talking about a little less than 30 million less than what you would have to pay for Framber Valdez, and he's 2 years younger.
And he's younger. So I mean, if you're asking me, I would lean Ranger Suarez in that situation because of the age, and especially with the work stoppage potentially ahead, right? That's another part of this. When you get into age, we might miss a year or a half a year of somebody's contract.
Right. And those are those.
I hope not, but I mean, I'm just being realistic.
Right. And the first couple of years are what you're really banking on. You're not banking on the last couple.
No.
A familiar face, Dustin, on our list. How about that mustache on Dylan Cease? It's not what he had when he was out with the Cubs in Mesa. Yes, he was a Cubs draft pick. So if I'm looking at the top 50, Ranger Suarez is number 7. Dylan Cease is number 8. Dylan Cease is also 30 years old. That's what he will be on opening day. Rough year a little bit. He was 8-12 with a 4.55 ERA, 168 innings pitch, 1.33 WHIP, 215 Ks, also represented by Scott Boras. Cease is another workhorse like Framber Valdez, started 32 or more games in each of the last 5 seasons, striking out more than 200 batters each year, Dustin. And when we talk about a problem with the Cubs, it's missing bats out of that starting rotation for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he led the NL starters in strikeouts per 9 innings. But the problem, and if you remember why Dylan Cease was traded, this was the Dylan Cease and Eloy Jimenez for Jose Quintana. It was control can disappear on him. It can all of a sudden disappear. And this year that did happen. His ERA went up. His home runs a little bit went up, and his command went up a little bit. But again, he throws heat. He misses bats.
A lot of swing and miss there, right? A lot of swing and miss.
Right. We saw him in the playoffs. And so to me, it's just a question of, I don't know, again, if you think the lefty righty stuff really matters that much. He is a right-handed bat.
He's a righty, right? So if that's your thing, then, then maybe Cease is your guy.
4-seam fastball averages 97 miles per hour with an 89.1 mile per hour wicket slider, 96 mile per hour sinker. I mean, when you look at those numbers, they really kind of pop out. It's just, it's walks. Can he keep the walks under control? Can he keep that? So now they are predicting for him on that contract for Dylan Cease. And tell me what you think. 6 years, $187 million. So about $20 million more than Ranger Suarez, but a little bit underneath what Framber Valdez is anticipated to get.
Right. And what are we talking on the on his age again, Crowley?
30. He's 30.
30. So he's right the same age as Suarez. Yeah. I mean, if it's a righty lefty thing, does he want to come back to Chicago?
I think he wants to go where he's going to get paid, right?
Well, that's okay. So everybody's money's the same to him. Okay, everybody's money's green and spends the same.
I think he'd be happy to come back to Wrigley. I don't think he would.
All right, another Padre Crowley has my attention. This Michael King.
You like Michael King?
Mm-hmm. So again, swing and miss, swing and miss, swing and miss.
Yeah, when you talk about Michael King, this might be, I think everyone else is going to kind of be thinking the same thing. Same age as Ranger Suarez, same age as Dylan Cease, 30-year-old. We're talking about a righty, 5-3, 3.44 ERA, 73 innings pitched, 120 WHIP, 76 Ks. He's represented by Excel Sports, who does Kyle Schwarber, Cal Raleigh, Freddie Freeman, Clayton Kershaw all these years. Once again, the qualifying offer comes in. And Dustin, I'm thinking that if he doesn't get injured, Michael King would have been at the top of this top 50 as far as pitchers are concerned. I think he would have been ahead of Framber Valdez.
Great point. I think you're right on, Crowley.
Yeah, he went on the IL on May 25th with a pinched thoracic nerve. Came back on August 9th. He only threw 17 and 2/3 innings. We did see him in the playoffs, and he was throwing heat against the Cubs, if you remember, right? Mm-hmm. He looked really, really good to me when I was like, wow. I was glad. I was wondering if they were going to start him or Yu Darvish. They started Yu Darvish, and again, he just wasn't really healthy, but he threw it right here. Now, what he is saying as far as the anticipated contract, 3 years, $75 million, which I think is an absolute steal. Obviously you're going to look at the medicals, and I don't have a lot of trust in the Cubs in that department, but what he also puts here is that he could see a 5-year, $140 million range. He costs the exact same as everybody else. He's the, same age as everyone other than, Framber Valdez, who's 2 years older. So cheaper, you could probably get him for less years. He's another guy, like you said, that has a lot of swing and miss stuff. When he's healthy, it's just a question, Dustin, is how confident are you that he is healthy? And again, how confident are you with the Cubs? It still bothers me to this day, that they got the Luzardo thing wrong.
Right. And listen, at this point, I would be okay with any of these guys. Right. I mean, there's nobody, the guys we've talked about so far, you could do a whole hell of a lot worse.
Now, he's not a guy that, I think Dylan Cease is the guy that throws the most heat out of everybody. So if you're looking for heat, that's where you go. Now, there's one other name that gets interesting, especially with Shota Imanaga being back. Tatsuya Imai. All right. And so he is somebody that comes from Japan. He is represented by Scott Boras again. So if you take a look here, he's posted. He is available. You're going to have to pay the posting fee.
Yeah, that's the problem with, I think, it right now, Crawley. I think that posting fee is a problem.
Now, last year, he threw 163 innings pitch, 192 ERA, 178 Ks, 0.892 whip. So what that's telling you, a lot of strikeouts, not a lot of walks. And so you like to see that. Now, here's his fastball hits mid-90s and can get in the high 90s if he needs a little bit of extra, right? He's got a crazy slider, and like a lot of Japanese pitchers, has a big arsenal: changeup, splitter, curveball, sinker. So impressive. But Dustin, he's 5'11", 154. He's a right-hander. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm maybe it's the fact I'm going to see all these 2016 Cubs. You remember how big those guys were? Jake Arrieta, John Lester, John Lackey. I mean, these guys, they look like a basketball team. I mean, it was unbelievable. I'm not sure I want undersized. I'm not, we did that with Marcus Stroman. I mean, obviously we can't compare the two, but I feel like I just want some beefcakes out in that rotation.
Beefcakes.
Crawley and the beefcakes. So, I mean, they are predicting, this is the prediction, 7 years, $154 million.
Wow.
So again,
I'm not, again, I've never watched any video on him. I've read a little bit of stuff about him. Sign me up elsewhere. I'm just a sign me up elsewhere on that path right now. I get it, but let the Giant. You know what it sounds like. It sounds like something perfect for like the Giants. All right, so I gave you 5 names. Give me your top 2 out of those. We got Framber Valdez, we got Ranger Suarez, Dylan Cease, Michael King. Give me your 1 and your 2, and Tatsuya Imai. Michael King and Framber Valdez. Those are your 2. All right. I like Cease, and I like the San Diego boys and Michael King. I like those 2. I think I want Cease. We're not that far apart. We're not that far apart on this one. But let's hope that the Cubs and Jed Hoyer are allowed to open up that pocketbook and pay what you need to get a front end starter. You saw the difference it makes in the postseason. Cubs need to get on that. You're listening to the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode 66 of season number 4. The Cubs search for free agent starting pitching is on. In this segment, Crawley talks to the new play-by-play broadcaster for the Cubs low A affiliate in Myrtle Beach, the Pelicans, and his name is Luke Moehle, about some of the newest prospects in the Cubs systems and the Pelicans' amazing run to the postseason. This is season 4, episode 66 of the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. The Cubs search for free agent starting pitching is on. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the podcast. 5-star reviews will take it. Email, send us one, Crawley's Clubhouse at gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us, as some of you are right now, on Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, Crawley, what's next on the agenda? Little review after review. It's time for after review when we look at some of the news coming from 1060 West Addison and around the league. Dustin, there's a lot that's been going on if you've been paying attention. Obviously, one of the big stories is we talked about the qualifying offers already, but the other thing that kind of happened as far as deadlines is that you had to make your moves yesterday at 5 p.m. was the deadline to add players to your 40-man roster to avoid them from being picked by other teams in the Rule 5 draft next month at the winter meetings. Dustin, we're getting close to seeing a lot of action. And so remember that when you talk about this situation, right? When you talk about 40-man rosters and all of this stuff, it's for players that signed at age 18 or younger, or players that signed at 19 or older, and they have to be added within 4 years. You just can't keep them languishing in the minor leagues. And so there's going to be a draft. And so if you want to protect those players, those that signed at 18 or younger and have been with the team for 5 years, or 19 and older that have been there for 4 years, either you got to protect them or they're available in the draft. Now, remember that if you take someone in that draft, you have to pay $100,000 fee, and then they have to be on your roster for the entire year. Okay. So you remember last year who the Cubs picked up on this? See if you remember how your memory is. I don't.
Gage Workman.
Okay.
Do you remember the Cubs had Gage Workman and it didn't work out and they had to give him back? So that's what ends up happening. And so
now I remember. Now that you brought it up, I do remember, and that was interesting, a little different than what we're used to.
Right. And so the Cubs got 50,000 back because they offered him back to the Tigers. They didn't want him. He ended up in the White Sox, had some trouble there, and then ended up back with the Detroit Tigers. So these things happen. So the Cubs selected 3 players in their, many of them from the top 30 prospects, to be on this list. Infielder Pedro Martinez is the Cubs' number 8 prospect. And, Pedro himself had a really, really solid year. He was in Double-A Knoxville. He's an infielder, hit 280, 8 home runs, 21 doubles, 4 triples. He's a switch hitter, Dustin. And so he's got a little bit of speed and he hits the ball pretty hard. So that one wasn't really a surprise. James Triantos was added to the team. James Triantos, we had him on the podcast a couple of years ago. He's been around the system for a while. One of the top draft picks that they had. He was a second-round pick in 2021. He didn't have the greatest year. He played a lot of games in AAA Iowa, so he can play. He's been playing infield. He played outfield. He played that in the Arizona Fall League last season, so he was added. He also has speed, and he's one of those guys that just, similar to like Moises Ballesteros, makes a lot of contact, doesn't strike out a lot. The last guy's interesting right here when we talk about the third guy on this list, Riley Martin. I remember seeing Riley when he was with the South Bend Cubs, but he was a 6th-round draft pick in 2021 out of Quincy University in Illinois. How about that, right?
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
So he's a lefty, and he had a really, really good season, 2.69 ERA, 80 strikeouts, 35 walks, and 63 2/3 inning. Most of those in relief. So those are the 3 guys. The guys that were not on there, you're going to go, what happened with Brandon Birdsell? One of the best pitchers in the minor league. He's undergoing Tommy John surgery, so no one's going to leave him on their roster all year. They're not just going to burn out that spot. That's not happening. Christian Hernandez was one of their top international draft picks, but he hasn't played above high A, so no one's going to keep them on there. And so those are a couple guys that were not on the list. So interesting to kind of see how these roster moves work, Dustin. With those 3 guys added and Shota Imanaga there, the 40-man roster is at 32 players.
32 right now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Next, the award season, right? The GM meeting's wrapped up with big award show last Thursday. We haven't talked since then.
Yeah. I watched it. I thought it was interesting. There was, we know
they got to do better with that show, Crowley. People got to show up. I don't understand why they would. I know, Crowley, that the Cubs and baseball are your first love. But, other people watch multiple sports, okay?
Right.
And I just think it's just extremely foolish to go head-to-head with Thursday night football in the middle of the football season. College football is going on, NBA, NHL, college basketball. You're fighting for every little spot, and then nobody shows up. The repeat winners of the AL and NL MVPs sat on their couch and petted dogs. I mean, what are we doing? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, it really, again, it would be great to have those guys. I understand some of the international players don't have a lot of time to be home, so I get that. But everybody else, I don't really. If you're within a 5-hour plane ride,
well, then my joke was, is Shohei not allowed to be in Las Vegas? Is that part of the rule?
We don't know. He a little. I wouldn't bet on it, but when you talk, I got you there. When you take a look at the NL, yeah. When you look at the Cy Young Award, it was, or when you talk about the Rookie of the Year, you do know that Drake Baldwin was the winner. We talked about that, and Cade Horton finished in second place with 139 votes. But also getting votes I saw is Matt Shaw. He got a 3rd place vote and a 5th place vote for 4 total. So he was on that list. So, it's not I don't want to make a big thing, but I thought it was kind of cool that he got a little bit recognized, even if you get
it's nice to mention that he was recognized, right?
Right. And I think, when you talk about it, I'm sure some of the local people did. You talk about repeat guys. How about the NL Manager of the Year, Mr. Flapjack Pancakes, Pat Murphy, back-to-back Manager of the Year, first in the NL since Bobby Cox.
Yeah, I joke that I feel like Craig Counsell should have had something in his contract that if the guy who replaced him to be the skipper of the Brewers won the manager of the year, he should have to give back $500,000 to the Cubs.
There you go. Murphy, Francona second with 49, Rob Thompson third. Craig Counsell was fourth on that list, 24 points.
Fourth. Wow.
I don't know. I know fourth doesn't do a lot for you, but
what kind of a medal is that? Like a
not a big one.
Nickel? I mean, what kind? I mean, come on.
Not a big one. I will tell you that. And then when you kind of take a look at some of the other things, when you talk about the Cy Young, I mean, there was no doubt on this one. It was going to be Tariq Skubal and Paul
I mean,
Skeens.
those are fine. Nothing to get too excited about. But Crawley, the one thing, and I'm still kind of scratching my head over it, is how did PCA not end up with the platinum thing? How did that not happen?
There's voting. Fan voting would be the difference on that.
Voting. Cub fans, come on.
I mean, definitely disappointing to see.
I don't know that. I think maybe the Cubs, and I'll take part of the blame here at the Fly the W. Maybe we needed to push harder on that because I didn't realize that was so fan intensive.
Yeah, it is. And so when you take a look for the MVP, I don't think, in the NL, I don't think there's any doubt that it was Shohei Ohtani. But how about this? Some Cubs getting votes. PCA end up in 9th place, Busch 16th, Horner 19th, ahead of Suzuki 20th. So that to me was a little bit interesting. So when you talk about the awards,
I agree, because it's a well-rounded team, right? I mean, you got 4 guys in the top 20. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and the other thing I kind of been taking a look at though was that AL MVP vote. Aaron Judge, wins again, and it was by 4 votes, 355 or 10 votes, 355 to 335, so about 20 votes there. But if you're looking at it, Cal Raleigh, I thought should have won it. Okay, you and I couldn't agree on anything more with you, Crowley. Totally agree. If he had done that in New York, if he had done that anywhere east of the Rocky Mountains, he would have won that award. This is from OptiStats. Since the baseball writers have been awarding the MVP in 1931, Cal Raleigh is the only player to hit 60 home runs for a playoff team and not win the MVP.
Wild.
And again, it's a matter of, the position he plays being so difficult, him being so good at it. I can't figure out whatever. And, Dustin, it was a little bit boring when it became the Judge and Ohtani show. I mean, they won the MVPs. They won the Hank Aaron Awards. They were all MLB first teams. Ohtani wins the Designated Hitter Award, the Edgar Martinez Award. It just was nonstop. And I will tell you, there was one thing that chipped my hide. If you take a look at the MLB all first team, I don't feel like you're going to sit there and disagree with any of these picks. And the Cubs don't have anyone in there. I think that they got it right. I'm not going to disagree. PCA was on the MLB all second team as the center fielder. Yay, PCA. I think they got it right. But are you telling me Bryce Terang over Nico Horner for second? I feel like Nico just gets overlooked.
He gets overlooked. And I think it's because of maybe the slug, the lack thereof, right? He doesn't hit home runs, but it shouldn't be about home runs.
Right. He's just, to me, you ask, I would love to just get a survey of players and ask them who would be your MLB first team, who would be your MLB second team. I'd like to hear what the players say. And
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him be part of Team USA, which I know is something we're going to talk about.
Hey, you never know. Our buddy David Ross is going to be the bullpen coach for manager Mark DeRosa, Team USA. And speaking of USA, PCA USA, good chant that should be going on there.
Yep, I like it.
Pete Crow
America. Pete Crow America.
Captain America.
America.
When you take a look at PCA, I mean, could there be any better guy to be on a Team USA, just a showcase for the world? I think that's going to be
arguably the most exciting player in baseball.
Now, Dustin, this is what Team USA, this is what we know right now. There's still some openings to be had. Right now, we know that Paul Skeens is going to be the starting pitcher, Cal Raleigh the catcher, Bobby Witt Jr. at shortstop, Corbin Carroll, PCA, and Aaron Judge are going to be in the outfield. Think about that outfield with Corbin Carroll and PCA. My only concern is I just hope they don't collide with each other. They're two guys that run around like crazy and catch everything. They think every ball is theirs. Think about that outfield though, Dustin. I don't think a ball's landing on the ground.
Very, very, very good. Very talented. A lot of speed.
You mentioned second base, Nico Horner. I just think that they're gonna. If I'm a betting man, I think Mookie Betts goes there at second.
And if he wants to, do you almost have to let him have it because he's probably only got one more left in him?
Yeah, I think so. And third base would be interesting. Whether you got a guy like Alex Bregman, to me, would seem like a real like rah-rah kind of guy, like a captain type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, at first base, do you go with Freddie Freeman?
Well, he is Mr. Clutch, right? He knows how to hit a ball in big moments. So you could do a whole lot worse than Freddie Freeman.
Dustin, I haven't made my spring training plans yet. It's something I'm kicking around, but I made a mistake last time the World Baseball Classic happened. I had a bunch of friends that went to watch it in Arizona, in Phoenix. It was, I can't remember, Team England versus, I think, Team Canada, played. And my friends went, and I was like, nah, I'm going to get some rest and go to the, the spring training game the next day. And my friends didn't go. And I kind of regret doing that. And I wonder where Team USA will play, because it'll be multiple locations.
Right.
You figure Miami and you figure Arizona. But if the World Baseball Classic is, back in Arizona, I'm curious to see which teams will be there, which teams will be playing. And maybe I do kind of take a road trip out to see a World Baseball Classic game.
Yeah, I think it'd be something. I think it'd be something to see. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the players, I love it, Crawley. The players take it really, really serious. I really appreciate how serious they take it.
And you remember how the last one ended with Shohei Ohtani striking out Mike Trout, right?
Right.
I mean,
it was awesome.
It was
Super
phenomenal.
Cool. Great television. Great television.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. So that's going to be definitely something that I consider when I go out to Arizona.
Well, Crawley, that's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Email us all your thoughts, questions, Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. You can always watch us by subscribing to the Crawley's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Crawley, enjoy the autograph and memorabilia searching over the weekend. And if something big happens, we'll get to it right away. I'm guessing we'll try. Can't promise that we'll do something ahead of Thanksgiving. But if we don't, we are thankful for you, the followers of the Fly the W podcast.
Yeah. And hopefully, like I said, if you're out there at the Rosemont Convention Center, give our previous episode with Kevin Schwartz from Schwartz Sports a listen. A lot of tips to help you out there. Come say hi. I'd love to see everybody at Rosemont. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing our favorite North Siders. Go Cubs!
It's all over.